Morning, children. Today we are continuing with the what you called urine formation. Yesterday we discussed about tubular absorption, right? Different types of absorbing materials. In the descending loop, what will be absorbed? In the ascending limb, in the distal convoluted tubule, in the proximal convoluted tubule, what observed? That one we discussed. Now we are going to discuss about tubular secretion. So observe very carefully the tubular secretion. First one, substance such as hydrogen, potassium, ammonia, creatinine and other organic acids move into the filtrate from the peritubular capillaries into the tubular fluid. Okay, you know very well this all are move into the filtrate from the peritubular capillaries into the tubular fluid. Most of the water is absorbed and the proximal convoluted tubule and sodium plus is exchanged for water in the loop of Henle. So what I am telling here, what is the important point is peritubular capillaries into the tubular fluid. So pericapillary means vasa recta, tubular means tubes, ascending and descending tubes like that. Most of the water is absorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule and sodium is exchanged for water in the loop of Henle. So hypotonic fluid enters and sodium will be exchanged. Hypotonic fluid enters the distal convoluted tubule. You know very well. So, and substance such as urea and salt pass from the peritubular fluid into the cells of DCT. Okay. So, in the ascending limb, descending limb diluted urine, filtrate. Ascending limb, what do you call it? Descending limb concentrated filtrate. Ascending limb diluted, what do you call filtrate, like that. In distal convoluted tubule and substance such as urea and salts are from peritubular blood into the cells of DCT. So urea and salts pass from the peritubular blood into the cells of peritubular blood into the cells of DCT. The urine excreted contains both filtrate and secreted substances. So urine consists of what? Both filtrated and secreted substances. Once it enters the collecting duct, water is absorbed. In the collecting duct, water is absorbed. So this is a collecting duct. You know very well. So now if you see the parts, what are the parts here? This is ascending loop. This is efferent arteries, efferent arterioles, DCT, descending limb, ascending limb, DCT, collecting duct, vasa recta. So now you see here the vasa recta, in between vasa, here down, here up, here down, here up. In between these two, exchange of materials. In between, see here, descending limb of what you call Henle's loop, ascending limb of vasa recta. Descending loop of Henle's loop. Okay, what you call this is ascending loop of Henle's loop, descending loop of vasa recta. So in between, what will be exchange will be takes place? Sodium and chloride and water. So this kind of exchange, this kind of one is up, one is down, one is up, one is down. That's called counter current mechanism. What do you call that is counter current mechanism. See now, hydrogen, for every H plus secreted in the tubular filtrate, sodium is absorbed by the tubular cell. Once again I am telling to you. So once again, tubular secretions such as hydrogen, potassium, ammonia, creatine, organic acid move into the filtrate. Secretion means what? Releasing into the filtrate from the peritubular capillary into the tubular fluid. Most of the water is absorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule and sodium is exchanged for water in the loop of Henle. Next, the what you call hypotonic fluid enters the distal convoluted tubule and substances such as urea and salts pass from peritubular blood into the cells of DCT. The urine excreted contains both filtrate and secreting substances. Once it enters the collecting duct, water is absorbed and concentrated. Hypertonic urine is formed. for every H plus secreted into the tubular filtrate. NaCl is absorbed by the tubular cell. So this is important. Next, okay, Na is absorbed. The H plus secreted combines with okay. So what is that? HCO3. So H plus secreted combines with which one? Which one? HCO3 will be formed, and NH3. Okay, H3PO4, HPO3 minus, and get fixed. And NH3 respect. Since H plus get fixed in the fluid, reabsorption of H plus is prevented. So once H plus is fixed, reabsorption is H plus is prevented. Formation of concentrated urine. So concentrated urine counter current mechanism. So urine is accomplished by kidney using counter current, what you called mechanism. The major function of Henry's loop is to concentrate sodium and chloride. There is a low osmolarity near the cortex and high osmolarity. Okay, low osmolarity near the cortex and high osmolarity towards the medulla. So you know osmolarity will be more in the cortex and less in the medulla. Okay, high osmolarity towards the medulla, low in the cortex. So what will happen? The presence of solute transport is maintained by the arrangement of loop of Henle's. So the collecting duct and vasa recta. So very important. What I said, collecting duct and vasa recta. So these are very important. Next important thing is this arrangement allows movement of solutes from the filtrate to the interstitial fluid. Filtrate to the interstitial fluid. At the transition between the proximal convoluted tubule and the descending loop of Henle's, osmolarity of intestinal fluid is similar to that of blood above. So this one, what you called proximal convoluted tubule and descending loop, they are similar. The 300 mm ascending and descending loop of Henle's creates a ascending limb, descending limb creates a counter current multiplier. So now active transport through the extramedullary nephrons, you know, their very long Henle's loop, they will be performs this counter current mechanism. Osmolarity gradient, see here 600 through 300 to 1200 while going down, intestinal the osmolarity will be more. So majorly water moves lumen into the intestinal fluid and osmolarity decreases. The counter current reaction dilution region of ascending limb actively pumps solutes from the lumen of the interstitial fluid. Osmolarity increase. So this mismatch between water and salt creates osmotic gradient in the medulla. So here what will happen? Mismatch concentration gradient will be changed. The osmotic gradient also due to permeability of collecting duct of urea. The vasa recta maintains the medullary osmotic gradient via counter current exchanger. Ascending and descending vasa recta blood by passive transport. Okay, so this is a passive transport, ascending and descending. So next, if you see the blood filtration, the blood is coming like the filtrate is coming like this. So in this material, okay, will be come out. In this material will be like this. So this vasa recta descending limb, ascending limb, Henle's loop between this counter current mechanism means they will be taken. Here it will be give to this. So it will be more total accumulation in the interstitial fluid to maintain osmolarity. Same here, water will become to this and sodium will be what you call water will be entered here, and so water will be come out and other materials whatever it may be, it will be go descending loop of Henle. So like that the exchange of the materials will be takes place between the vasa recta and Henle's loop maintains the counter. So why counter current? One is up, one is down, one is down, one is up. So in between the exchange of especially sodium and chloride exchange of materials due to osmolarity variation, the exchange is going on. That's why it is called counter current mechanism. At last water is absorbed means through the collecting duct concentrated urine will be pumped. So counter current multiplier. So limbs of Henle and extramedullary nephrons and medullary osmotic gradient plays a vital role in the counter current mechanism. So mainly passive transport will be takes place in the Henle's loop. Now come to regulation of kidneys. So ADH, regulation of kidneys. The functioning of kidneys efficiently monitored. The functioning of kidneys efficiently monitored and regulated by hormonal feedback control mechanism. So what are the hormones helpful for the regulation of kidneys mainly, come on, antidiuretic hormone. More water, antidiuretic hormone will not work out. Less water, antidiuretic hormone will be work and act on the what you call the nephrons and absorbs the more water. So like that. From hypothalamus, antidiuretic hormone and angiotensin 1, angiotensin 2. Okay, these all are very important. Renin. These all are very important for the vasoconstrictors. What is the meaning of vasoconstrictor? Increase the blood pressure and the flow of the urine will be increased. Okay, angiotensin. So that is renin, angiotensin, aldosterone, and aldosterone also plays a very important concept, Ross mechanism. So next, thirst. What will happen if suppose NTH not there, antidiuretic hormone is not there, in the sense what problem will become when the antidiuretic hormone is not sufficient? That leads to diabetes insipidus. What do you call the problem? Diabetes insipidus. So what are the problems of diabetes insipidus? Symptoms of ADH: excretion of large quantities of dilute urine and dehydration, fall in the blood pressure, like that. Then how to control this? Means some medication is required, even hormones medication is required. Now renin, angiotensin, natriuretic factor, these all are helpful for the increasing of blood pressure. At the same time, urine formation will be take place because of this renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, that is called Ross mechanism. It is called Ross mechanism. So this is one of the regulation mechanism. So renin also, juxtaglomerular apparatus is there. Where the juxtaglomerular apparatus is distant convoluted tubule, this afferent arterial, it will become here. The renin juxtaglomerular apparatus, there will be the JG cells produce the renin. Renin also helpful for the vasoconstriction. So renin, angiotensin 1, angiotensin 2, aldosterone, all are helpful for the what is called increasing the blood pressure and glomerular filtration rate. That's why that is called Ross mechanism. Ross full name what? Renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, and even natriuretic factor, ANF. It's a kidneys. Whenever the blood pressure is less, okay, whenever the blood pressure is more, then anti-natriuretic factor dilates the blood pressure and reduces the flow of the urine, glomerular filtration. So what will happen? Anti-natriuretic factor, what will happen? Dilates. So dilates, regulates the, decreases the what you call angiotensin 2 and antagonistically. So anti-natriuretic factor against to the Ross mechanism. Why? Because anti-natriuretic factor from the heart will reduce the blood pressure and increases the what you called stops the increasing of PP and glomerular filtration. So Ross increasing the glomerular filtration, anti-natriuretic factor decreasing the glomerular filtration. So like this, there will be this kind of things are there. Okay, children. Once again, should have to listen carefully. This is one of the important concept in the urine formation. So tubular secretion. So what are the three steps in the urine formation? One is glomerular filtration. One is what is called filtration, glomerular filtration. Number two, what is called the most important thing is reabsorption, and third one is secretion. So some are absorbing, some are releasing into the filtrate. What are those substances secretion? That is important. So H plus, potassium, NH4, and creatine and organic acids move into the filtrate from the peritubular capillaries into the tubular fluid. Most of the water is absorbed by the proximal convoluted tubule, and sodium is exchanged for water in the loop of Henle. Sodium will be exchanged for the water. So distal convoluted tubule and substance such as urea and salts passes from peritubular fluid into the cells of DCT. So urea and salts pass from the peritubular blood into the cells of DCT. So peritubular cells blood to the cells of DCT, urea will be formed. So they will be interdistal. DCT means where distal convoluted tubule. So these all are will causes the concentrated urine. Once it enters into the collecting duct, water is absorbed. So once it enters into the collecting duct, water is absorbed, concentrated urine will be formed. HC3 H plus ion secreted get fixed. How they will fix it? When they combines with HCO3, HPO3, NH3 and get fixed, then H2CO4, H2CO4 and NH respectively. Since H plus gets fixed, in the fluid, reabsorption of H plus will be prevented. So reabsorption cannot reabsorbed. So that's why in the urine you will see this kind of HPO3, H2CO2, such kind of things will be sometimes we will see. So formation of counter current concentrated urine, how exchange, whatever total water reabsorption, minerals reabsorption, okay, only waste materials only will forming because of this what you call counter current mechanism. So sodium chloride, water, okay, water and sodium chloride only major in between the which one vasa recta and Henley's loop. So here to here. So one is going up, one is going down. In between this exchange. Here in between these two water exchange. So because of this only the concentrated urine is forming. Son, if you see the regulation of kidney, hormones plays a major role from hypothalamus, angiotensin 1, angiotensin 2, liver, lungs. Okay, angiotensin 1 converting enzyme converts the angiotensin 2. And these all are RAS, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system helpful for the increasing of glomerular filtration. But natriuretic factor, natriuretic factor one will be decreases the glomerular filtration, and natriuretic factor will come from the heart. Like this, there will be very important structures are there, what you call concepts are there in the renin mechanism. And one more ADH, vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone. It is coming from diabetes, deficiency of antidiuretic hormone, which causes which one? Diabetes insipidus. What you call diabetes insipidus? These all are what are the problems of diabetes insipidus? More excretion of large quantities of dilute urine, dehydration, fall in blood pressure, like that. So more water is there, no need of ADH. Less water is there, ADH is there, like that. So regulation of the what you call kidneys will be by the RAS. RAS means renin from the juxtaglomerular cells. What is the juxtaglomerular? DCT near the efferent arteriole, in particular middle place called juxtaglomerular apparatus. There the JG cells produce a renin hormone. Renin plus lungs, liver produce angiotensin. They will be forms the angiotensin and aldosterone, adrenal gland, aldosterone, RAS mechanism will be increases the glomerular filtration. So increase the more urine. But RAS mechanism always will not be RAS against the RAS for diluting the for reducing the blood pressure. And one factor will be there, that is coming from the heart arteries, that is called natriuretic factor, that is it decrease the glomerular filtration. One will be increased, one will be decreased. That is because of this two things. What are the two things? The RAS mechanism, natriuretic factor, the regulation of kidney is going on. So like this, the RAS mechanism, natriuretic factor, and these all are there. Next concept, micturition. The process of release of urine. What do you call the next process is micturition. What is the micturition? The process of release of urine from the bladder is called micturition. Releasing of urine from the bladder is called micturition. So what is this micturition? How it will be means urine formed by the nephrons ultimately carried out by urinary bladder. Okay, it is a voluntary signal from the central nervous system. The stretch receptors present in the urinary bladder are stimulated when it gets with urine. The stretching of the urinary bladder stimulates the central nervous system. So sensory neurons of parasympathetic nervous system and brings about the contraction of bladder. Simultaneously, somatic motor neurons induce the sphincters to close. Smooth muscles contracts, resulting in the opening of internal sphincter passively and relax the external sphincter. So when the stimulation and inhibitory controls, so what you call sphincters under control of which one? The somatic and what you call the reflex reactions in parasympathetic nervous system, mainly involved in the what you call sympathetic and parasympathetic and somatic nervous system, and close what you call internal sphincter and external sphincter will be involved in the what you call micturition process. This maturation process clearly will be discussed in the next class.